I'm joined with Dan from the Board Game BBQ podcast. Dan, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
I'm glad to have you here. Now, obviously, Board Game BBQ runs game days, which have structured teachers, have a library, has lots of people playing games. But if people wanted to, whether it's a big day like that or just have some friends over, do you have any advice about running a games night?
Yeah, it's funny because our approach to the Board Game BBQ game days is a little bit different to some of the sort of open sort of pub style events that you see and that are all over Melbourne. They're fantastic, but we like to host an event or host the game days as opposed to just have a game day where people can show up and play games. So as you say, we have scheduled teachers, but even when I'm running my own events or my own sort of game night with friends at home, and I know some of the guys from the team are the same. We generally host the event and we're not necessarily playing. So we might get everyone together and have an icebreaker game, like a little party game sort of thing. And then we might break into a couple other sort of smaller, 4-player game over there, 4-player game over there.
See, that's something that, because normally when I'm having a game night or with friends, however many people are, that will cater the games towards that number. So if it's 3 or 4, okay, let's play something like Dune Imperium Brood or Quacks. Okay, if there's 6 or 7 of us, let's grab something, some more party style games. And it was only until I went to a games day at Mike from the Board Game BBQ where they broke off into 2 groups of 4 playing different games. I'm like, oh, you can do this.
Yeah.
Which was sort of a bit of a new experience.
It's funny, what we love to do with the game days as well is we generally start with some lighter, fair games, particularly if we have families or people that are new to the community, new to the hobby, coming to our game days. We will start off with some lighter fare. Afternoons we'll get some more heavy games, some more involved games, and then we usually circle back around to the end of the night where Mike or Jules is like, hey, who wants to play a 10-player game of Six Nimmt, or who wants to play a 9-player game of Bristol or Martha de Cuba?
Yeah, with Mike holding
Mike
court.
loves holding court with those sort of style deduction games where it really is about the social side of things, and no one wants anything too sort of brain burning at the end of the night anyway. They've already done that during the day.
I definitely made that mistake, and shout out to one person in my green group, Shane, who always sort of complains sometimes that we're like, oh, it's 10:30 at night, and then we'll start learning like an hour and a half, 2 hour medium to heavyweight game, and you're like, it gets a bit tiring that it's, it becomes like 1 o'clock and you're like, okay, time to go home now.
Yeah.
So I guess there is, if it's, 3 or 4 of you at home with some friends, there's potentially an arc that you might want to present for those game days.
Yeah, definitely. And you can kind of gauge the room to see if you're playing a game that's, particularly if you're introducing new groups of friends for the first time as well, an icebreaker game, sort of a really quick sort of party game or card game is really great for that. And then you can break out something a little bit more involved, like a 1 or 2 hour game. And then if anyone's still interested in playing something quick, you can do that at the end of the night as well. But with our Board Game BBQ events, that we act as if it's our house. So when someone comes over to my place, if I have friends over, I'm always making sure that everyone's fed, everyone's got drinks, everyone's happy, everyone's. On a much larger scale, we have 100, 120, 150 in Brisbane and Sydney in our events there. But it's the same thing. Our volunteers are really just teaching games. They're work in the room, making sure that everyone's happy. Someone comes in, we've got a game for you. So no one has to sort of wander in and go, well, there's lots of games going on right now. There's no room for me. We're always like, hey, welcome. What kind of games are you into? We're about to start up a game over here of Quacks the Quedling Bird. Do you want to jump in, sort of thing. So.
Which I guess when you look at your own game nights with friends, is that there's that element there of of being a hostess and all, but also of compromise.
Yeah.
That there might be 4 people. You can't just have one person picking the game every time. And it's also selecting the game for the group can be an important thing.
Yeah, and even just understanding. So what kind of games are you familiar with, and then let me recommend you something, or I've got something that I think you would really, really like. Let me teach you that. And quite often I'll teach a game and then I'll just leave them to it, and then I'll sort of keep an eye on other things, wander back. Is everything okay? Need help with the rules, or plus if I'm not actually playing, I can sort of hover and give people advice and sort of help out every now and then. So it's good fun.
Yeah, I mean, which is something that you can do if you're hosting, but also, if it's a smaller group, you can play every game. That's A-okay as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the other thing to do is I've had game days where we've decided a game in advance. If it was a bigger game or we had to sort of learn it in advance, I think the example that I have is I rocked up at 9:30 a.m. at somebody's house Furniture Gully, which is a long drive for me, to play Twilight Imperium 4.
Yep.
I was the newest player to the game, but I'd already watched like a couple of videos and like they'd all played before. But that was like, hey, we're playing this game. You need to be prepared, and you need to come on time, which is a little bit different to, hey, come after dinner. We're going to play a couple of games like this.
Yeah. And there's so many resources online as well that if you are not familiar with the game, you can usually find out how to play online. There's some great Australian content creators as well that do that. And there's nothing wrong with just almost saying verbatim what they said on the video to your friends to help sort of succinctly get across the game, and then off you go.
Yeah, for me it's 3 Minute Board Games, which is New Zealand. But that YouTube channel has very succinct sort of rough ideas of how to play and the turn structures and the goals. That really do help sort of get your mind of, okay, this is how you play the game, this is what the game's about.
Yeah.
And it's also, with friends who are already into gaming, I have like sent them links sometimes because it's like, here's a 3-minute video. I'm not going to send you, here's a 45-minute learn to play. That's a bit much. But yeah, I guess coming prepared, not always needed, and it depends on the group. But
yeah. I've been to Def's house and to play Kanban EV. And I know that's quite a complex game, so I actually boned up first and watched how to play video. And then and that was maybe a week before, and then once he started taking me through the rules, everything sort of gelled a lot faster, and we can spend less time learning the game and more time just enjoying the game as a group. So yeah, helps.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things where you just need to make clear what sort of game day it is, because you don't want that to be every time, and you don't have expectation that if we're coming over to play party games that you've researched how to play High Society. No, it's fine. Or it's like, you can be shown. But yeah, if it's a big game, then it's going to help you as well.
Oh, absolutely. It helps everyone. If you've got even 1 or 2 people that are familiar with it, and that way everyone can help everyone else if there's anyone who doesn't quite understand a few of the sort of key mechanics or what have you, and it allows everyone to enjoy some of those larger, more complex games. Okay,
Dan, so take us through. You're hosting a game night with 4 people. You're one of the players, so you're one of the 4.
I'm playing.
What are some games that you're gonna bring out?
Some of my favourites at the moment are Architects of the West Kingdom. I do love a really good sort of deduction-y game. So maybe something like Letters from Whitechapel, where one person will play Jack the Ripper and the other players will all work together as police to try and track down Jack the Ripper. That's a great game. Some really good sort of fun card games like Letter Jam, So Clover, Just One. Some of those ones maybe to finish the night are really, really good. Just One's a bit harder with 4 people.
I was going to say, Just One with 4. I feel like you play So Clover instead, and if it was a larger group, you play Just One.
But then the larger the group gets, the more likely people's words are going to cancel each other out as well. So it does sort of hit its sweet spot between 4 and 6.
Okay.
But I love, Decrypto's another great one as well, if you've got teams, code names, but yeah, those sort of style games.
Do you think of it in an arc of like starting off light, ending light, then have some stuff in the middle?
Depending on how much time we've got. I'd probably hit the ground running with Letters from Whitechapel because it's quite easy to understand, and then finish the night with something a bit lighter because you're tracking down a serial killer through the streets of London, so you need something a little bit lighter before everyone goes home. But that would be some great ones. Or just a fun sort of roll and write, flip and write to finish the night because they're quite easy to understand, but the complexities are in every time the dice are rolled or the card flips, everyone's starting to write things down, so everyone starts with a clean sheet of paper, but by the end of the game, everyone's sheet is completely different. They're great games.
Dan, thank you very much for coming down and having a chat about running and hosting game days or game nights.
Love talking about games.